Hello and welcome to my response to Novabug's monthly question series, Friday Foursome, for October 2020. Topic this time is spooky horror games. So without further ado, let me give you my top 4 spooky horror games. So number 1 is Ghost Hunters on the Amstrad CPC, of course. So this is a Codemasters title. It was released in 1987, I believe, as a budget game, of course. And yeah, you can just about see a price label on that, I think. It will focus, maybe not. Yeah, so it was released in 1987, January, and the Oliver Twins' second game. Apparently they're only 17 years old at the time and still at school, so yeah, makes you sick, doesn't it? Anyway, you play as Hunk Studbuckle, who is out to save his brother Chuck in Nightmare Mansion. It's kind of a platform shooter game. Your weapon is a subcompact antimatter phantom splatter. Try saying that after a few pints. And yeah, it's pretty good fun. I really liked it. I think actually my sister bought this game. And yeah, we had great fun playing with it because it actually has two-player co-op mode. So basically one person can control Hunk, the main character, and the other person basically controls the gun, which, as you can probably see on the clip playing right now, is kind of just a bullseye, and you have to aim that over the ghosts and ghouls to make sure that they die. And yeah, it's good fun. It's got good music. It's even got synthesized speech as well at the start. I believe AA gave it a score of 68%, which is fair, I think, because it's a budget game. It's also available on the C64 and ZX Spectrum, which will please OSG and Texie88. Yeah, so that was my first game. So that is Ghost Hunters on the Amstrad CPC. So my second game then is going to be Ghostbusters 2. So here I had the box version of it. So this is a pretty good game actually. This was obviously a movie tie-in to the film Ghostbusters 2. And the game was released in the same year in 1989. So this one, as you probably can guess, is on the Amstrad CPC. This is actually the disc version as well. Yeah, it was movie tie-in. You got stills from the movie at the start of each level. You got the Ghostbusters theme at the beginning of the first level as well. Pretty good funky rendition of it as well on the old Ami. The second level I think has a tune I didn't recognise, and the third level as an old Lang Syne, good old New Year's drunk song. Yeah, and so with the first level you have to kind of get lower down into the sewers to go and collect some slime. You have to collect the apparatus for collecting the slime at the bottom as you go down on the rope, and you have to kind of swing left and right and that kind of stuff as you actually get lowered in. It's a bit slow, but it ultimately is pretty good fun, I always thought. And you can kind of kill the ghosts before they get you, and there's other ones that come along and try and scissor off your rope above your head, that kind of stuff. And yeah, it's pretty good. And then the second level is Statue of Liberty Walk, and there you have to get people to get people to pick up slime as you walk along. As the power as the Statue of Liberty, and that gives you power, and you have to also kind of kill these zombie things coming towards you as well. And it's an okay game. Sorry, it's an okay level. And then the last one is museum level, and you have to abseil down all 4 of the Ghostbusters down into the museum, where you have to kill Vigo and save the baby, essentially. So the first thing is to go and grab the baby and hide it somewhere, or hang on to it in one character, then switch to another character, and then basically then you have to get, I think, Vigo back into the painting somehow, and then somehow you manage to kill him. I can't remember. I was playing it, as you can see, probably streaming to on the right hand side here, and I couldn't remember how to finish it. So, yeah, it's an enjoyable game. It's a bit slow in hindsight, but it's one that I did actually enjoy when I was younger. I did play it quite a lot as well. So yeah, so that is Ghostbusters on the Amstrad CPC. So the next game then is a game called Prey. So this is the original one, original Prey back in 2006. So this was released on PC. This one is for PC, but I believe it's on other platforms too. Obviously I was a PC gamer back in the day. I didn't have a PlayStation 1 or 2 or Xbox up until Xbox 360. So it uses the Doom 3 engine and many textures from the game as well, I think. And you basically play as a guy called Tommy, who's a Cherokee mechanic, and you, your dad, and your girlfriend actually get kidnapped in the opening kind of scene, so to speak, by aliens. It's a pretty good opening scene actually as games go. It tells quite a neat story overall actually, and all. But yeah, it's quite interesting. Suddenly the tune "Don't Fear the Reaper" by Blue Oyster Cult plays as you're suddenly being teleported up into an alien ship. There's lots of nasty aliens there, lots of carnage, and there's another big long kind of cutscene, well not actually a cutscene, but kind of rendered scene, where you're kind of going along, being dangled down, and you somehow manage to escape. This person kind of comes along and helps you escape. And yeah, you kind of have the usual set of guns and a wrench, because what shooter doesn't have a wrench? And yeah, overall I think this game was actually pretty good because it was quite unique because it actually gave you such things as portals before the game Portal came out, if I remember rightly. It's the first time I saw them. And they were proper portals, not your kind of, Stargate portals with just water running on there. You could see into the next world, as if it was like a, full, you were actually looking through a doorway to another world. And it's pretty good because those portals kind of randomly appear. Sometimes you can go through them, and sometimes monsters come out of nowhere, and aliens, I should say, come out of nowhere and start shooting at you. But also, it's got another few unique features as well. So you've got the ability to walk on certain pathways that take you up the walls and even onto the ceiling as well. And then while you're walking on the ceiling, the aliens come along on the ground, and so they're basically coming at you from a completely different angle. You have to shoot up and behind you and all sorts. And there's yeah, it's interesting because I think further along, if I remember rightly, there's some switches that can change the gravity as well, so that adds kind of a new dimension of a puzzle. But also, after about 15-20 minutes in, you gain the ability to spirit walk, which is quite interesting, and that changes the levels on the fly, so to speak, and literally adds a whole new dimension of puzzles to one level. So you see level one way as your normal Tommy, but when you start to spirit walk, you can see all these other invisible things that you couldn't see before, and you can pass through certain gateways that you couldn't pass through before. And yeah, it's a pretty good game, and yeah, one of my favourites that I played for quite a while. So then the next game, then the fourth and final game, is Bioshock, again on the PC, of course. So this was released just only a year actually after Prey. So this was released in 2007. It uses the Unreal Engine 2.5 heavily modified version rather than the Doom engine. And again, it's another first-person shooter which has role-playing elements in it as well, which gives it a real in-depth. But it's got really gorgeous graphics and in-game design. It's very Art Deco, inspired, I think, by a lot of some of the buildings in New York City, Rockefeller Center, I think, in particular. It's set in 1960 as well, so it's kind of oldie-woldy type thing, dare I say. And yeah, you play as a guy called Jack, who starts off the game involved in a plane crash, and he kind of finds a lighthouse and goes into there to explore, and then ends up going down in this lift, an elevator, into this whole underwater city called Rapture. It's got lots of eerie scenes, a lot of cut scenes, and kind of scenes where you can't control the character, you control the character for you. And it's kind of reminiscent of the likes of Resident Evil, so fans of that will probably like Bioshock as well. And graphics, as I mentioned, were really good, but they did actually bring out, it's either earlier this year or last year, I think maybe last year, a remastered version. So the graphics, are even more gorgeous now than they were back in 2007. They've been brought up to date for modern day computers, etc. So I'd highly recommend getting the mastered edition. The one playing just here is the unmastered edition. As you can see, the graphics on there, even the non-mastered one, are really good. So yeah, so the enemies on this one include splicers, which are basically zombies, or zombie humans, which are controlled by the pheromones in the city's vents. Then really eerily, you've got these little orphan girls called the Little Sisters, who are used to gather this stuff called Adam, which is basically genetic material, which can be used to grant superhuman powers from corpses. And then you've also got these big kind of guards for the Little Sisters called Big Daddies, which is the thing that features on the front there. and which are also called Mr. Bubbles by the Little Sisters, which is quite disconcerting. But yeah, it adds to the whole eeriness and spookiness and weirdness of this game. All very sinister. And yeah, so the weapons you get in this one are kind of the usual 60s guns and a wrench. Can't forget that wrench. And yeah, you get human upgrades as well, called plasmids, which essentially allow you to kind of shoot lightning and that kind of stuff and stun your enemies, and then you can kind of walk up to them and hit them with a wrench, good old wrench, or shoot them with a gun, if whatever floats your boat. So yeah, so those are my 4 games. So that is Ghost Hunters, Ghostbusters 2, Prey, and Bioshock. And then just as a bonus, the worthy mention is Ghostmaster. Again, this is on PC. I had it on PC. So this came out in 23rd of May 2003. I think I probably bought it around about 2004. But yeah, it was a game I never really played that much when I first bought it. I only picked it up again recently, actually, mainly for this video, to be fair. And yeah, it's a role-playing game, and you control ghosts and ghouls to scare people. And when you scare people, that gives you then plasm, I think it is, which then provides powers to power your ghosts, which then can scare more people and you can get more plasm, and so on and so forth. And the ghosts themselves can be bound to objects, or fetters as they're called. So it's just one ghoul that can be bound to electrical equipment and can make it throw sparks and turn it on and play loud music, for example, if it's a TV or something like that. And yeah, so each ghost has a particular ability as well. So you basically need to kind of spend a bit of time checking out the bios of the humans you're trying to scare, find out what their weaknesses are, and then match them to a particular ghost or ghoul to scare the living bejesus out of them and get them running out of the house. It's quite good actually on the training level, which is probably should be playing right now. That is set in a sorority house, US sorority house. And yeah, you have to basically scare all the sorority girls out of the sorority house. And it gives you, kind of holds your hand all the way through to help you do that. And yeah, so I never played the game fully to the end, but according to the Wikipedia article on this, apparently the game ends on a real cliffhanger, which was supposed to be picked up again by a sequel, so the game was supposed to then carry on. So it reminds me of the Italian Job. Actually, I never had a sequel, did it? Left on a cliffhanger, literally. But yeah, so because there wasn't a sequel, they did actually release a bonus level that kind of gave closure to the game itself. But apparently it was only available for the UK retail version again, not US. However, if you do buy the game now, and it's available on Good Old Game, GOG, and Steam, it does actually include that bonus level as well, so you can actually get closure on the game. And yeah, that's it. So that's my 5 bonus games. And yeah, thank you very much.